Hello, and welcome to all the wrestling fans out there. I am Flash, and this is the WrestleFest podcast. Thank you for joining me this week. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe. I'd very much appreciate that. So, before I get into breaking down the shows for this week, I want to touch on some very important things over this past week. First and foremost, let us all, be aware and be thinking about Jon Moxley and his family during his time where he has, if you don't know by now, which, you should, but he's entered himself into, rehab for his alcohol abuse. So good on him. Good on his support system, the people that he has around him. And, this is just a time for us to stop and remember that these people, these are entertainers, yes. And just like people in the entertainment business, movies, TV, sports, all of that stuff, let's always keep in mind that these are people first. Just like you and me, they're not doing anything different other than being humans, right? And they suffer from the same things that everybody else does. Addiction, mental health, right? So let's all be aware of that and be respectful of that as well. And as somebody who has dealt with and dealing with, different mental health issues, let's be mindful of that as well. All right. And it's just a super important thing. And thankfully, we're, putting a lot more eyes on these issues. And it's just something that we need to continue to be, mindful of going forward. And it's okay if you feel like you're struggling with something, just let somebody know. Let a loved one know, a family member, heck, your doctor, because they can get you all the help that you need, right? And refer you to some great people. So, that being said, have Jon Moxley, and his family in your thoughts this week and going forward. And we wish him the best and a healthy and timely recovery, as much time as he needs to get himself straight, right? So, let's move on to the next order of business for this week. And big news this week. More cuts in WWE. Releases, whatever you want to call them. Firings. Whatever way you want to dossy it up. There were superstars out of a job this week. 18 to be exact. The most troubling thing about this, before I get into the names and break down specifics, this comes right on the heels of WWE coming, out of their earnings call for quarter 3 and reporting profits. Obviously we know about the $255 million in revenue, but as far as net goes, right, we're talking $43.5 million roughly. And that's also a big number because the revenue, the gross number is one thing, but it's like, okay, how much money are they putting in their pocket? Quarter 3, $43.5 million. This company is not in a position where it needed to do budget cuts, right? So I don't want to hear that crap about, oh, these were budget cuts and we needed to, no, that's BS. You have your reasons and stop trying to dance around it. But typical WWE fashion, they're just going to dance around it, right? Now, some of these names here, there's been some speculation that it was some of them due to not wanting to get vaccinated. And I have my thoughts on that as somebody who is vaccinated. Everybody has their own choice they want to make one way or another, and that we're all grown adults and you're going to make that choice. I just don't think we can get around stuff like that one way or another, right? But I digress because we don't know exact specifics in terms of that. So anything, kind of COVID related, that's very much speculation in this, So needless to say, I don't think that was necessarily a huge determining factor on these superstars being let go. This is just WWE being WWE and doing WWE things. So let's just get into the names. If you haven't already heard, right? So 18 superstars were released, different stars from the main roster brands in NXT. I'll shoot off the names here: Heath Lee, Karrion Kross, Nia Jax, Ember Moon, Eva Marie, Mia Yim, Harry Smith, Lince Dorado, Grand Metalik, Jeet Rama, Katrina Cortez, Trey Baxter, Zeta Ramir, B-Fab, Oni Lorcan, Frankie Monet, and Scarlett Bordeaux. Okay, so granted, every single name on this list I'm not 100% familiar with, but most of it I know who these people are. And, let's get the obvious ones kind of out of the way, right? Heath Lee. Now, Heath Lee had his health problems this year, mainly due to contracting COVID early in the year. And then he had those heart issues and inflammation issues with his heart, so he needed to immediately take time off. Whether or not some of that is kind of directly related to his issues he had with COVID, that remains to be seen. That's neither here nor there. But he was on the up and up, right? He was just on his way. He was on the main roster, and he was getting into some territory where he had some good kind of fuse going. He was in this little kind of mini program with Randy Orton, and things were looking up for Heath Lee finally. And now that he was out and he was sick, and now this, right? So, and on top of that, him and his fiance are out the door, Mia Yim, who they've been doing nothing with. Same thing with Karrion Kross. Him and his fiance Scarlett gone. They're just putting families on the street. And I say on the street because we know, they're still getting a form of a check during this 90-day non-compete period. But come on, for lack of a better terminology, you're putting people out on the street, right? Because they're going to be out of a job. Yes, these stars are talented enough to get work in other companies, so they won't be out of work long. Okay, let's understand that as well, and we'll talk about that a little bit. I want to get into potential maybe landing grounds for some of these stars that I'm more familiar with. And again, the whole Karrion Kross thing, he was dead on arrival when they brought him to the main roster. He had the perfect entrance, with the valet and on NXT, and he was a monster on NXT. The dude is sculpted. He's chiseled out of stone. Again, when you think professional wrestler and then you close your eyes, you're gonna see a body that looks like Karrion Kross. Let's be real, okay? And I'm not saying that's the end all be all for what a pro wrestler should look like. Heck, look at Heath Lee, all right? But I'm just saying, while they all come in shapes and sizes, your immediate thought that a guy that looks like Karrion Kross, right? Nevertheless, and not to say that, he had every single tool in his arsenal refined when he got to the main roster. Obviously not. He especially had some mic work to do and, some stuff to clean up in the ring. But this guy had all the talent. It was just written on the wall, right? And then they strip him of all of that when they bring him to their main roster. Strap this stupid gimmick on him, this gladiator thing that nobody cares about because, we're not in a gladiator era, right? Gladiator was like 20 years ago, okay? We're not doing gladiator stuff anymore. His attire was terrible. It's like they got it from the dollar store, right? And just ran it out there and just kind of threw it on him the last minute. And it was like, just go out there with this. You'll be fine. I feel for, these guys and girls, and I feel for a guy like Karrion Kross because it's like he was on the up and up, and it's almost like they purposely stripped him of everything for him to fail, and that's not right. Okay, yes, you bring a guy or girl up, and it's like, okay, you're up to the big time, and now prove yourself to make it. But come on, man, let's not strip a person of everything that makes them their character and then slap some stupid gimmick on them and expect it to work. That's not fair. It's just not, Anyway, Nia Jax, I thought at the very least, now this thing may really be directed, because I, as far as I know, she's been very against vaccination, but her more than anybody, it may be directly due to that, because you would think that her, I feign using the terminology bloodline, but it is what it is. That's the perfect name for their faction. Anyway, you would think her bloodline, her lineage would, and not to say she's not worth her value in the ring. Yeah, Nia can be a little sloppy sometimes, and she's gotten some girls hurt, which, but that's not to say she can't clean that up, because she's a talent, right? She's a monster talent. And again, her bloodline, her lineage, just her ties, to the Noai family, is like, the further I get into the list, the more irritated I'm gonna get. And you got Ember Moon. They just didn't know what to do with her. She was on NXT, on the main roster, back to NXT, gone. Eva Marie, I could, whatever. I didn't know what the point was of bringing her back in the same gimmick. We're not doing the Divas thing anymore. That gimmick is over. We need women that can wrestle now. What Eva Marie does worked in the Divas era 5 years ago. That stuff doesn't work anymore. If you can't wrestle, now unless you're bringing back the era of the valet, then she's gonna have a spot somewhere. But she served her purpose, which was to get Doudrop over and on front stage. So that's the best thing Eva Marie did in her return to the roster. Obviously, Mia Yim, they had been doing nothing with her. Harry Smith had just come back, right? Look. And again, some of these names I'm not familiar with, so I'll just kind of BFAB. You bring Hit Row up to the main roster finally, all right? They just made their debut on SmackDown. The part about this that's the most trifling is that they were all, and I don't know about all of them, but I know her specifically, she was still under an NXT contract. So now it's come out that last week she signed a main roster contract and now is cut. So whereas before under the NXT contract she would have been able, her non-compete was only 30 days, now hers is 90 days because she signed a main roster contract just last week. God, that doesn't stink of just, I don't have the words to explain how treacherous that is. To know they knew they were cutting her last week. They probably knew weeks ago, right? They knew. So to let her go ahead and sign that main roster contract, or to offer it or whatever, that's just wrong. I'm sorry. There's no other good way to describe it. It's just wrong. Like, forget fair or morals. That's just wrong. Because now she's got to spend an extra 60 days waiting to go somewhere else. And she got talent. Okay, she ain't been in many matches, but she got skills. She's going to go somewhere and be successful. And they probably saw that and was like, let's hold off on that. Because she's young and she's fiery. She got talent. If we only let her non-compete for 30 days, it's going to bite us in the it's going to bite us in the ass a little bit when she jumps to one of these other companies, whichever one that may be. I don't know. So let me get into that a little bit, because we've got options on the table for all of these wrestlers, whether it be AEW, whether it be Impact, whether it be New Japan, right, or Major League Wrestling. Now, I'm not going to say, now granted, considering how much I have an affinity now for AEW, and I think the potential is through the roof there. No, some people, a lot of these names are going to end up where they're going to end up. I think, Impact is a good place for a lot of these people where they'll maybe get a little bit more shine, a little bit more time. And I say that only because AEW is really starting to bust with talent. They need to focus a lot on the storylines because they got all the talent in the world now. Now it's time to refocus. Personally, and I'm going to take all my bias, I'm going to try to take all my bias out of this, but I'd love to see Heath Lee in AEW because he could go in there and immediately get into the title picture one way or another. Now he's an easy baby face. Even when they try to make him a heel, fans really love Heath Lee. Okay, we love what guys like that can do in the ring and respect his athleticism at that size. So he could really be a great heel for whenever they decide to take the strap off of Kenny Omega, right? For the next babyface champion, whether it be Hangman Page or whoever. So that's an option, right? And just same with Karrion Kross, honestly. He's got heel written all over him. That's easy, right? And he's got the look. We discussed that already. And I like to see some of these ladies head on over to AEW as well, because let's be honest, the AEW women's division is definitely on the come up, but it needs more, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but it needs more. We need more options. We need more kind of options for the champion. Nia Jax, wherever, heel, face, whatever, she's a, easy heel, right? B-Fab, same deal. Let's get, even if it's just those two, even if it's just those 4 wrestlers that make their way to AEW, I'd be great, right? But again, they'll end up where they end up, and that'll be fine. And these superstars will all thrive where they end up because they'll have the opportunities, and they'll have the potential to spend that time working on their character and just being them. And they all got to these are professionals. You don't get to this level by not putting in the work and not being good. So they'll be okay. It's just, it sucks that this happens now. It's November. Like, this is holiday season, and you do this now. That's just, it stinks. It stinks. So, with that said, I'm gonna move into the shows now, and I'm gonna try to kind of get through them quickly here because I know we spent a lot of time here going over these cuts, but I felt it was important to get into that because that's a big deal, and it's always going to be a hot topic. So let's kick it off getting into Raw. They start off the show, Becky Bianca, which I don't know, I have a question mark here just because it just kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't expect this to actually be a match this week, and I know from last week Becky was like, oh, you got your match or whatever the case may be. I just didn't expect it to be this week and for the title. I don't know, it's just and then you got your usual, it's a great match, you got your usual back and forth. Becky gets a dirty win, hitting her off the turnbuckle, pull the tights. It's fine. It protects Bianca, and it's going to get to extend the program to wherever we go from here. Excuse me. So we got Rey Mysterio and Austin Theory. DQ win here. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with Austin Theory. Part of me doesn't care. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about him. We got some Seth Rollins stuff here. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about this women's division and everything below the title conversation, which is really just, again, it's Becky, Bianca, and then who you got after that, right? On Raw. But we have this tag match with with the champs, with Nikki and Rhea Ripley and Zelina and Carmella, who are apparently a new thing now, new tag. I wrote down, I'm confused by this division because I don't know what the point again, in classic WWE fashion, they mishandled great talent, because this should not be where Rhea Ripley is right now. They put the title on her too early and needed to take it off her just as quickly. They should have built her up in a longer program, contending for that title, because she is a star, right? Whether or not they love her look is a different story, right? She doesn't fit the classic mold, right, from a look perspective, but who cares? She's great, right? And this is all going nowhere. This part of the women's division is just going nowhere fast. And I don't know how they fix it. They got to break these teams up and get the division going better. Anyway, I want to talk about this Alpha Academy stuff just quickly, because Finn fought Gable here, and I don't even remember who won the match. That's not even relevant. I'm pretty sure Finn won. I don't know. But I want to talk about Alpha Academy because we haven't seen Stevenson yet, right? The Olympic champ. And I don't think it's going out on a limb to say he's a perfect fit in Alpha Academy, right? And it's funny because we just had some comments in this past week from Kurt Angle saying that he would love to come back and manage Alpha Academy, which this is Team Angle 2.0 that we're dealing with here, basically. Like, if you know, back in the day with Shelton and Charlie Haas, this is that all over again. And Stevenson could be a good fit here, whether it's to fight with them or get into a program against them, maybe against Gable, kind of true wrestler versus true wrestler type of thing. There's something here. It's not there yet, but there's something there. Damian Priest, him and T-Bar. First of all, can we drop the T-Bar thing? It's just stupid. I don't know. They're not going to, but like, if he went to AEW, he would just be whoever he is. I forget his name, but it wouldn't be T-Bar. It was a no DQ match. This is Damian Priest is a stud, and I know I sung his praises last week, and I'll continue to do it again this week, because again, just like I mentioned last week, he can go one way or the other, heel, face. They can do whatever they want with him, because his face, his expressions, he sells as good as anybody else on the roster right now, right? You believe it, and he's gonna be more there, and eventually they're gonna have to take that title from him, because they're gonna need to put him in the main title picture eventually at some point in some fashion. He'll be there. And then we close out with Big E and Kevin Owens in their match this week. Good match. We got the Seth Rollins interference. We got this weird thing at the end where Kevin is apologizing to Big E because, you tried to get one over on me. And Kevin's like, no, it's not like that. I'm sorry. I'm like, I don't. And then Big E hits him with the big ending, and the show ends. Big E's like, I know you, Kevin. It's funny. Big E is great, but it was just a weird segment at the end, and I don't know what they're gonna do with it going forward. But maybe we get Mad Kevin Owens, where this might be his heel turn again. Where he gets into a program with Big E, because it's like, I tried to apologize and you're making me do this, that whole thing. Raw was okay. It was fine. It served its purpose as usual, just to do certain things and to get to the next week. But nothing special. Let's talk about NXT. I did watch NXT. We're gonna continue getting NXT in here, because I like where some of I like kind of keeping up with it now, because you at least get to keep an eye on the up and coming talent, and then you get to see the top tier where it's like, okay, who's coming up, who's getting ready to jump to the main roster. I'm gonna I'm gonna keep up with this because I don't like being surprised anymore. Like, I hate when somebody comes up to the main roster, and I'm like, who the hell is that? So in fairness, to keep my knowledge, straight, all right, there's not much for me to talk about here. Bunch of usual things here. This dude, however, Zion Quinn, I want to talk about him. He fought, who did he fight? This guy, Robert Stone. Well, that wasn't much of a fight. It was just him showing, it's a squash match where he, you 2 or 3 big moves to showcase a guy or girl, and boom. This Quinn dude, he's good. He's got the look. He's got the feel. He's got that Pacific kind of look, that Hawaiian, Samoan type of look. I don't know what his heritage is, but he has that look. Which means you could get him involved in this Roman Reigns thing. Again, I'm just spitballing because I haven't looked it up. But he's good. He's still raw. He's still very raw. He's like middle of the next step for him is potentially, well, maybe the next step after the next step is to maybe start getting into the conversation for the NXT title or one of the titles. But he's good. Watch out for this dude, Zion Quinn. He's very good. Braun Breaker beats up somebody. Andre Chase. Just to get to a segment, I just want to talk about Braun because he sounds so much like his dad. Oh my goodness, if you don't know, that's Scott Steiner's son. He's the spitting image and sound of his father. It is crazy. Like, you can close your eyes and some of it you're like, yo, that's Scott Steiner. But again, he's got the rocket strapped to his back, and this kind of thing with him back and forth with Tommaso will continue, and we'll see where that goes. I'm gonna come back to something real here. I'm putting a pin in something. I'm gonna come back to it, but I just want to talk about the main event real quick because this right here, oh man, is there talent here. Was it the main event? I don't know. Johnny Gargano and Loomis and Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams. Carmelo Hayes is great. This dude gets it. This dude right here, he gets it. He's got talent. He's got the look. He's got the charisma. Whenever they're ready to do something with Carmelo Hayes, that's going to be the right time. Whether it be next week, whether it be 3 months from now, Carmelo Hayes is a guy to watch. And, again, maybe he gets involved in the main NXT title. I mean, he already had this little segment with Ciampa prior to this, right? So we'll see what happens. He might, get into that picture where maybe it's a title for title, maybe it's a, winner take all with his North American title. And Johnny Gargano is just, unfortunately, you have to decide at some point what to do with him, right? Do you keep him at NXT and make him a NXTer? Or do you eventually have to bring him up to the main roster because he's that good? And with Loomis in tow, by the way. Because Loomis is good too. Alright, sneaky good. When you watch this dude wrestle, he is talented. And he physically has the look. We spoke about Karrion Kross, right? This dude's got the look too. He probably got like 4% body fat. Okay, it's probably more like 7, but man. But Solo Sikoa, another seemingly kind of squash match. I didn't even write down his opponent. I don't know who his opponent was. I didn't bother writing it down because I don't care, because that's not what's relevant. Solo Sikoa, if you don't know, that's Sifa Fatu, is Rikishi's son. That's the Usos' younger brother. Okay, this dude, he's got it. He's got it. Just let him get his feet wet a little bit. NXT, let him get a feel for things. He's going to be on the main roster within 6 months. I don't know in what fashion. There's no way you bring him up to the main roster to not do something with the bloodline. Whatever that might be by the time he gets there. Right? Whether it's to fall in line or it's to contend in some point and say, hey, yo, because right now they're pushing this angle with him being like, oh, his family abandoned him. We're not saying who his family is yet, right? They're just saying, oh, he was abandoned and left out on the streets and XYZ. So maybe the angle when he comes up is, oh, my family, they disowned me, they left me out, y'all left me out there, and blah blah blah, and I'm coming for the title of the family, or whatever the case may be, right? Him just being angry with his family, or he could just fall in line. Either way, I think him just falling in line doesn't do him credit, because he's got the talent, he's got the look, he's just gonna slide right in, man. He's gonna be the next up in line in this Anoa'i family. Their lineage runs strong. They're wrestlers. All right, let's move on. NXT is actually pretty good. I actually enjoyed NXT this week. But yes, Dynamite Wednesday. We kick off with Kenny Omega versus Alan Angels. It's actually a good match. Kenny probably could have put Alan Angels over better or more, especially as the champion. There's no squash matches for you as a champion. You got to put people over. But not that he didn't, though, because he put over Alan Angels a little bit. But that's a good step for Kenny. I just think the purpose is to get to the Hangman Page spot afterward, where he tries to kind of chair shot Alan Angels after, and then Hangman comes out, and they get their segment leading up to Full Gear. So that's important. Malachi Black, great promo. And I'm not saying anything surprising here, right? CM Punk, great segment here, great spot, just being real. This is why we love CM Punk. Just being real, talking about Jon Moxley stuff and how important all of that is. So shout out to CM Punk for that. We've got, the Christian Cage and Jurassic Express getting their just due this week on Super Elite, with them, interrupting their little interview and just getting the one up on them, right? Beating them up outside, spilling out into the stage area, throwing people around. Jungle Boy's got the snare trap on Adam Cole at the stage entrance, and Christian Cage just hits him with the concerto. Good stuff. Just again leading up. This is the show where AEW is 20-fold leaning into making us aware and excited for Full Gear. This is all this is. FTR gets a dirty win here. We get a nice little segment with the Inner Circle and the top team. Again, this is all Full Gear stuff, right? Same thing. We get MJF and Darby. MJF is shaping. Again, I have my bias. He's from Long Island. I'm from Long Island. So there's just that, you just like those guys that are from your area, that your home area. But they're shaping him up to be a good heel. Now, he's not a heel. I don't see him as the heel that everybody's supposed to hate. People don't like him now, and I think that he's trying. They're trying to make him walk a fine line with a lot of these promos that he does, because he's walking a fine line. Whereas maybe they're trying to make people hate him. And again, and I'll say, and I have a prediction show coming up for Full Gear, so be on the lookout for that. But this Darby program should help that. Good showing here with Andrade versus Cody, and we get Miro. Now, I expected Miro to kind of run through Cassidy, especially with them kind of playing up the angle of him still being hurt. But this was actually a good match. This was a good match. And we knew, not we, but I knew Miro was going to win, but it was a good match nonetheless. So it protects, Orange in a way where he can lose and still come out on top, right? These are the kind of matches how you want them to end, where the heel still is over, right? The heel gets over and the face gets over. It's perfect. Everybody's protected and everybody. Miro still looks like a monster going into the final of the tournament, the championship tournament against Bryan Danielson. So great stuff there from Dynamite as usual. So let's get into Friday here. SmackDown. Good segment kicking off. Again, we get Bloodline and New Day. We get Roman back this week. And Roman being Roman, doing Roman things. New Day come out. Then we get the challenge for, Xavier challenges, Jimmy. The loser's got to bend the knee, right? And acknowledge the if Woods loses, you got to acknowledge Roman, etc. Right? So that's good. So we set up our main event right off the bat. So good stuff there. Then we get Naomi and Shayna. And you can tell in this match, I love Naomi. She's great. She's athletic. She's good at what she does. She's one of the few wrestlers that's left over from that Divas era. Her and Natalia, Tamina, because she can wrestle, right? A lot of those divas are gone, but she can wrestle. She's not the best technical wrestler, but she can hold her own. But you can tell a little bit that Shayna's wrestling down in this match. Nevertheless, my problem here is, and then, she wins, and then Sonya comes out and restarts the match, and she loses. Whatever. I still don't know the point of this. I just don't. It gives Naomi something to do, which is fine. Just because she needs somewhere to be. I just don't know what the point of all this still is. I just don't know. I don't know what we're doing here, and I don't know what the payoff is. Yeah, we're leading up to Naomi eventually having a match with Sonya Deville. But why? Just why? What's the payoff? Then we get this dude Rich Holland, who I'm not sure who he is, and forgive me if that sounds sacrilegious. He looks good. Quick segment with him just hyping up Sheamus. So I don't know if that's staying to be a thing. Here's something I wanted to get into. We get Los Lotharios against Cesaro and Mansoor. Why we just threw together Cesaro and Mansoor, I have no idea. However, I think I have a hint as an idea why. The tag division sucks a little bit over here, right? Because let's think about this. You have the Usos are the champions, and you have the New Day, which is the best main competition for the Usos if we're talking about the tag division. Who is there after that? Now, the Viking Raiders just got there, and we'll get into that in a second, but this division needs help. And I see that now, because now we're just throwing together random people into tag teams, like Cesaro and Mansoor. Now, Los Lotharios gets the win here, which I guess as a true tag team, you want them to advance. So we'll see. Drew, another open challenge. Ricochet this time. So great match here. That finish, okay, where Ricochet goes into a moonsault shooting star type move off the top, and Drew catches him with the Claymore while he's upside down. Beautiful. Absolute thing of beauty, and kudos to both men, because that's not an easy thing to time appropriately, right? So shout out to Drew McIntyre and Ricochet just for that finish, if nothing else. But Drew gets the win. Ricochet has this little segment in the back with Mustafa Ali, and again, I don't know what they're doing with him. So Corbin and Madcap Moss, this little happy talk segment thing. I don't know what this is, but Viking Raiders they have on this thing, and it leads to a match, right? So here's your team, the Viking Raiders. they got to start showcasing them. Obviously, they just got to SmackDown via the draft, and they are a team to showcase moving forward because they're one of the true tag teams, and they can contend for these titles. They just got to start building them up. And again, because we got all these makeshift teams. I mentioned Cesaro, Mansoor, but you look at Madcap Moss and Corbin. You look at, I guess, Shinsuke and Rick Boogs are a team. And again, what are we doing with the Intercontinental Championship? Okay. Pat, first of all, time out for a second because Pat McAfee is fabulous. Okay, he is a gem. And for them finding a way to get him in the company and get him at the announce table, he's got a quote during this Viking Raider match, verbatim because I wrote it down. Viking asked for dinner for Madcap Moss. It doesn't get any better than that. Let's move along. I don't even this Hit Row and Sami Zayn thing. I don't know what we're doing with Hit Row. Are they ever gonna wrestle? Who knows? They just did B-Fab dirty, and I spoke about that. But anyway, King Woods and Jimmy Uso. Let's get to the main event. Great match. First of all, side note: Xavier Woods' new music, fabulous. Love this theme music. Are we getting is this a prelude now where we need to understand that he's going to be doing more singles wrestling? Sure, that's fine. I don't mind. We're starting to not necessarily break up the New Day, but let's understand that these dudes are beasts on their own accord. Kofi was a world champ. Big E's a champ. Xavier's the king of the ring. We're starting to showcase his singles ability. So it's much easier for a tag wrestler to go singles wrestle than it is for a singles wrestler just being a tag team. You know, some of the best wrestlers, singles wrestlers, stemmed from being great tag wrestlers. Shawn Michaels, The Rockers, Ray Janetti. Bret Hart spending so much time tag wrestling, group wrestling with the Hart Foundation. A lot of times some of the best singles wrestlers stem from a lot of tag team wrestling, right? So, love the music. Absolutely love it. Perfectly fitting for him and the gimmick. So it works both ways. Great match. Just, we're definitely finally getting to, again, see more of Woods and what he can do. Wins the match, but then we get that, Jimmy's about to bend the knee, and here comes Roman. Roman with the save. Then we watch them beat up on Kofi and Xavier, and then they take out Kofi. They go after his knees, and they make Xavier watch and blah blah blah. This just does nothing except it does two things. One, it gives us a longer standing program, right, for this whole Bloodline New Day thing. It lets us showcase Xavier as a singles wrestler more. Heck, it even potentially puts Xavier into the conversation for getting a match against Roman. Okay, I'm not saying he's there yet. I'm just saying we potentially have that as an option at some point down the line. Also, what this does is it creates more white heat for the heels. Because we know that Bloodline still gets a lot of cheers, and I feel like they want there to be a little bit more angst for the Bloodline than what they're getting right now. And I think this really helps, right? This program here with the New Day and having them really go over on being aggressively heinous towards the New Day will help a lot with that. And as far as programs go, we'll just close things out here with Rampage. As usual, Rampage was great. Okay, we kick off with Bryan Danielson getting a match, Anthony Bowens. It's funny because I'm still really getting familiar with all of the roster of AEW. Bowens, this was a good showing for him. I kind of expected this not to necessarily be like a super long match, but at the same time, I'm never surprised by what AEW does, right? And I'm not surprised here. Good showing for Bowens. I think it shows that he can hang, right? And again, Bryan just putting somebody over in the best way. And then we get, this is the highlight of the evening. So I'm going to pin it and come back to it. The Bunny and Red Velvet, good win for Velvet. So we're finally going to get to the second round of this TBS tournament, and Red Velvet's going to go up against Jade Cargill. So love to see, you know, the black women getting their just due, and they're going to have a great match here. So, you know, because that's been a area of opportunity for, you know, wrestling, for pro wrestling, is to get these black women involved. You know, they're there and they're good. John Silver, Adam Cole, main event, just a good match. I didn't know John Silver was from Long Island as well, so he's on my new list of favorite wrestlers. That's it. Long Island biased. Great match. There's nothing you could say here. Just great match. We know Adam Cole's gonna get the win here, and just a great match for all things leading up to Full Gear. So back to the CM Punk segment. CM Punk calls out Eddie Kingston. We knew this forward there coming from the last time we saw CM Punk. He's like, you know, let's get Eddie out here. So we get Eddie out here. Eddie Kingston is now, again, I'm from New York. I'm from Long Island. Eddie's from New York. Eddie's from, you know, the boroughs. I think Eddie's from Brooklyn or from Queens. Eddie Kingston is some of the most believable wrestling you can get on TV. And I don't mean actually in the ring. Well, that too, but on the mic. His characters. But if you notice, New York guys are who they are in terms of these wrestling, especially the boroughs guys. You think about Eddie, you think about guys like Taz, you know, Bubba Ray. New York guys just go out there and be themselves. And Eddie, this segment with CM Punk, this back and forth thing was a stroke of genius. Because, quite frankly, my 100% opinion is that this is Eddie just being Eddie. Eddie's not in there thinking about the promo. He's not thinking about how he's going to sound or how he should react to what CM Punk is saying. Nope. This is like a conversation like if they were having in the back and nobody was watching. Eddie's just pissed and he's just being Eddie. And this right here, I felt this whole promo. When you feel something that's happening in a pro wrestling ring, they've got you. And this segment by itself stole the show from a feel standpoint. Obviously, we're going to get the match at Full Gear, and it breaks out into a fight eventually because Eddie eventually crosses that line where he mentions, you know, I want you to take another 7 years off, and then that was it. CM Punk headbutts him, and then we're on. They could have drawn this out longer. They didn't have time to, because I think they started the build to Full Gear a little late, but it is what it is. We're gonna get this match at Full Gear, and I'll be damned if this match isn't one of the potential matches to steal the show from what we're gonna get storyline wise, what we're gonna get in the ring. This is gonna be a fight. Oh man, I can't wait for that. I cannot wait for that. And I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. Yes. So I'm out of time. Well, I ain't got nothing less to talk about, so I'm out of time. Yeah, so that's it. So that's gonna wrap up this week's episode. I'm Flash. This is the WrestleFest podcast. I'm on Spotify now, so you can go check it out there. Just the same thing, the WrestleFest podcast on Spotify. Trying to get on the other stuff, Apple, whatever, etc. But again, you can get it on Spotify. You can get it on the YouTube channel there. Right now, still on the channel Playing Games with Flash. Okay, so that is all I have for this week. And again, thank you, and I will catch you all next week. Have a great week. Be safe, be healthy. Peace out.